We're now in 254. We have read already the parts of the corruption of sexual love. We read about Saint Augustine, City of God. Now we read more about other religions. I think it's from Buddhism. You must know, monks, that after the floods that put out the conflagration that ended the last cosmic cycle, receded and earth came back into being, there was upon the face of the earth a film more sweet smelling than ambrosia. Do you want to know what was the taste of that film? It was like the taste of grape wine in the mouth. And at this time, the gods of the Brahmavara heaven said to one another, "Let us go and see what it looks like in Jambudvida Vipa, now that there is earth again." So the young gods of that heaven came down into the earth, to the world, and saw that over the earth was spread this film. They put their fingers into the earth and sucked them. Some put their fingers into the earth many times and ate a great deal of this film. These at once lost all their majesty and brightness. Their bodies grew heavy and their substance became flesh and bone. They lost their magic and could no longer fly, but there were others who ate only a little, and this could still fly about in the air. And those that had lost their magic cried out to one another in dismay, "Now we are in a very sad case. We have lost our magic. There is nothing for it but to stay here on earth, for we cannot possibly get back to heaven." They stayed and fed upon the film that covered the earth and gazed at one another's beauty. Those among them that were most passionate became women, and these gods and goddesses fulfilled their desires and pleasure in one another. And this is how it was, monks, that when the world began love-making first spread throughout the world, it is an old and constant thing. And the gods who had returned to heaven looked down and saw the young gods that had fallen. They came down and reproached them, saying, "Why are you behaving in this unclean way?" Then the gods on the earth thought to themselves, "We must find some way to be together without being seen by others." So they made houses that would cover and hide them. Monks, that was how houses first began. Now the people, seeing this thing of husbands and wives had begun, hated and despised such couples, and seized them with the left hand, pushed them with the right hand, drove them away. But always after 2 months or maybe 3, they would come back again. Then the people hit them or pelted them with sticks, clods of earth, tiles, or stones. Go and hide yourselves. Go and hide yourselves properly. That is why today, when a girl is married, she is pelted with flowers, or gold, or silver, or pieces of clothing, or rice. And the people, as they pelt her, say, "May peace and happiness, new bride, be yours." Monks, in former times, ill was meant by these things that were done, but nowadays good is meant. Ikotara, Agama 34, and Shi Ching from Buddhism. Now we have the teachings of our Father Reverend Sun Myung Moon about corruption of sexual love. So anyone who wants to read? Okay. 255.
Teachings of Sun Myung Moon, page 255. We read, "Sexual love caused by human beings to fall. Therefore, our sexual organs are most fearful things. Religion holds adultery to be cardinal sin. Is free sex in America and throughout the world the expression of God's philosophy of the kingdom or the devil's philosophy of hell? It is the philosophy of hell ran rampant, creating hell both on earth and in heaven. Everyone who follows this trend is doomed." Speech July 24th, 1994. And we read, How can God's love be linked with this world? True love coming down from above brings unity by the most direct and shortest path, making a 90-degree angle. Once that direct connection is made with the vertical God, the love of human beings can correspond to it. True love, traveling by the most direct and shortest path, induced by that vertical love, a man and a woman move on the horizontal plane towards the vertical line, creating a right angle. This is love's final destination. What was the human fall? It bent this right angle. July 29th, 1991. And we read, God's purpose of creation, described in blessing, be fruitful and multiply in Genesis 1:28, can be achieved only through love. Accordingly, from the viewpoint of God's purpose of creation, love should be the most precious and sacred act. But because the sexual act was the very cause of the fall, people often regard it with shame and even contempt. Exposition of the divine principle in the chapter of the fall, 1.3.2. And we read, there is ample evidence which helps us recognize that the root of human sin stems from sexual immorality. We know that the original sin has been perpetuated through linear descent from one generation to the next. This is because the root of sin was solidified by a sexual relationship that binds one in ties of blood. Furthermore, those religions which emphasize the need to purge sin regard fornication as a cardinal sin, and they have taught the virtues of chastity and restraint in order to curb it. This is an indication that the root of sin is found in lustful desires. The Israelites performed the rite of circumcision as a condition of sanctification. They qualified themselves as God's chosen people by draining blood, because the root of sin lies in having taken it from the unchaste act of evil blood which permeates our being. Sexual promiscuity is a principal cause of the downfall of numerous heroes, patriots, and nations. Even in the most outstanding people, the root of sin, illicit sexual desire, is constantly active in their soul, sometimes without their conscious awareness. We may be able to eradicate all other evils by establishing moral codes through religion, by thoroughly implementing various educational programs, and by reforming the socio-economic system that fosters crime. But no one can prevent the plague of sexual promiscuity, which has become increasingly prevalent as the progress of civilization makes lifestyles more comfortable and indolent. Therefore, the hope of an ideal world is an empty dream as long as this root of all evil has not been eradicated at its source. Christ at his second advent must be able to solve this problem once and for all. Exposition of the divine principle in the chapter of the fall, 1.5. All right, so we come to the end of that reading on page 255, Teachings of Sang Myung Moon, and it is 5:30 now. So on page 256 is a completely new chapter title of Cain and Abel. So we can start on that tomorrow, but today we can still do our reflection and inspiration in what we've read today. We read the last part of subtopic number 3, corruption of sexual love, which yesterday we read about St. Augustine. And today we've read from from the Buddhism with the gods who wanted to test the earth, and then they tested the film so much until they lost their ability to fly back.
You ever heard that before?
I've never heard such a thing.
I never heard it either.
So God knows how to teach about what really happened and the origin of sin, and how there was an original ideal which was perfect and was working, but when man or the gods that came to some situation that could not meet the standard of heaven or the ideal, then they fell and they started doing things in hiding and building houses.
Seems like they got greedy. The ones who wasn't greedy was able to fly. The ones who was 50.
Those who just tested a little bit were able to go back. But those ones who overindulged could not fly back, they were stuck.
Became flesh and bone.
Yes. They lost their wings.
Of course, we know we don't believe that.
Yeah. These are myths.
Mm-hmm. Like Greek mythology.
Yes, they are mythologies of how all the different religions and different cultures look at the ideal, the principles of creation which were ideal, and it has something to do with God. This is the key point. But when they fell on their own, they fell away from God's ideal, and they remain there in that problem. And God is still trying to come back to restore them. It's a beautiful myth that shows that actually every culture in the world, all religions in the world know about the original ideal and the fall, and there is the process of restoration.
So there's two parents have to solve this problem of immorality.
Yes. So this is what, in continuation of this subtopic number 3, corruption of sexual love, this is what True Father is the key point here. He says sexual promiscuity is a principal cause of downfall of numerous heroes, patriots, and nations.
Yeah.
Even the most outstanding people, the root of sin, illicit sexual desire, is constantly active in their soul, sometimes without their conscious awareness.
Like the French president, he saw a woman bending over. He was making love with all the people watching. He did it unconsciously. That's his nature. Yeah, they found out she has like orgies in his place. So later on, even Clinton,
Clinton, everybody. Everybody. Yeah.
He said
So,
the only friend he had was a dog. Clinton when that scandal happened.
Yeah, and actually 2 days ago I saw in the Yahoo News that President Obama and Michelle were celebrating their 25 years of marriage.
Yeah.
And they were thanking Spike Lee.
Okay.
He's a movie star who was making directing movies that Obama used this movie to ask Michelle, their first date, to go to this movie, to see a different director, not all the Hollywood stuff.
Yeah, he's different. Mm-hmm.
So he was making something very different. And when they went to this movie, Michelle was very impressed. How did Obama, get to know these kind of different movie producers?
Yeah.
And that's how they started their relationship. So they were on a video, and they were thanking Spike Lee, saying, "Oh, thank you so much, Spike Lee, for helping me win Michelle Obama." And Michelle also confesses the same thing. He tried to, actually Michelle was the boss of Obama in the law firm. Yeah. So Obama seduced his boss.
You did well.
And that's how now they're ending up in the White House. Now when they are celebrating their marriage with their children, and then they have enforced and encouraged same-sex marriages, and it's their own fault. That's how they have an ideal, and they are promoting something else that is not what they are doing, they themselves, and celebrating.
It's something political.
It is.
I don't think they believe in that, dude. I mean, really.
Whatever it is, he is promoting it in all levels. He is promoting it in the Supreme Court. He's allowing it to go on in the federal. He's allowing it to go in the army. He's allowing it everywhere.
So do you think that he knows that he's really making a
He thinks it's popular, but
popular?
Yeah.
It's not, in the Bible does no.
Yeah. So only in his 2 terms has these immoral acts of lesbianism and homosexuality and all these
They allow the LGBT
have grown the most, and it is becoming rampant in the world.
But it's always been like that.
But it was suppressed. They didn't come out.
The reader said they was hiding. That's what they were doing. They was hiding. But see, y'all, you got to understand something, brother. Come on now. Let's be adult about this. People like Hugh Hefner and all these other people help people, what they call, come out the closet. Okay? We all, from the principle, speaking from the principle point of view, from God's point of view. If God does, He don't hate these people, but they cannot be run with God plus and minus. Remember the 2 plus and 2 minus?
Yeah.
They're causing their own separation from God.
Yeah.
That must be taught to them.
Yes.
If they don't want to continue to live like that, you think God's going to destroy them? He didn't destroy Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah if they found one person to believe in Him.
Yes.
So
now, in the middle of this, the most important thing is on the side of God. It's not empty anymore, because true parents have the Messiah, the way he says here. But no one can prevent the plague of sexual promiscuity, which has become increasingly prevalent as the progress of civilization.
progress of civilization.
They think it is civilization.
Okay.
Makes lifestyle more comfortable and indolent. Therefore, the hope of the ideal world is an empty. Therefore, the hope of an ideal world is an empty dream as long as this root of the evil of all evils has not been eradicated to its source.
To its source.
Yes.
Okay.
Christ at his second advent must be able to solve this problem once and for all.
Solve it once and for all.
So true parents have already solved this problem
Okay.
by establishing the blessing.
Bless couple.
Yes, by establishing how people come to the blessing. They make indemnity conditions. They cut off their blood lineage and connect and graft to the Messiahs through the blessing, and they become blessed couples, and they start their conjugal love following the Messiah's ideal and teaching.
They do indemnity stick.
And do all the indemnity stick and everything, and now it's no longer just within the Unification Church only, but also like ACLC. There are many priests that are doing this. The married priest now in the Catholic, which is also known to be very rampant with all these homosexuals and liberal pastors who want to do same-sex marriages. There are pastors and people who have come out of that and said, we want to marry. We don't want to follow the Catholic celibacy process anymore. So even there, the Messiah has gone in with his message of the blessing and is changing the former status of whatever establishments, the Catholic faith that has been there. So we know very well, therefore, that the Messiah has come and has taught all these what exactly was the fall. He has we no longer have the symbols of saying this was the serpent. We know this is the archangel.
But you know, though, the thing is, the United States playing an important, pivotal role in what the world sees and has an effect on the world, is that now in Africa, they got the same thought that these Americans have. If you're not gay, then you can't move ahead. You know, in other words, you got to be, live that kind of illicit sex lifestyle, which most people, gay people, especially the men, are not faithful. They have most sex partners. And I'm saying, now you see what you have done. You supposed to set the example, and you got people thinking that orgies, sex partner, homosexuality is a part of being rich and famous.
Yeah, that's what it is, trying its effort to come out and like show that being homosexual is normal. In Africa, it's an abomination.
Church pastor.
It is 90%. You cannot do that. That's why you see Uganda came out strong. The president of Uganda, they have said if they catch you with homosexuality, you will go on 9 years fast. Second time, you are
But do you think that that's false parenting? False parenting, they was going to start killing people. Okay?
Yeah, now it is the struggle of the ideals of the fall and African tradition. So there is a struggle there because they do not want homosexuality trying to penetrate in their culture. They are trying to stop it. When it comes to Christianity, they are saying I am Anglican or Episcopal. That's my original church. They have said if the Church of England, which is the head of all the Anglican and Episcopal churches, if the Church of England, the headquarters, promotes homosexuality, Africa has separated itself from headquarters.
Wow.
They will no longer relate. They are independent from all that. So many countries in Africa, in Christianity, are separating themselves and saying, you white people, you whatever you want to go gay, go gay. We are not going to go gay. We are following.
The
Yes.
United States too.
Yes.
They separate because they don't want.
Yes.
Well, that United States is full of them.
Yeah. So here in America, it's very sad that from our own son, Obama, who has blood lineage from Africa,
That's right.
has become the one who promotes the environment for this promiscuity to grow.
Hey, that's what it is. That
To
jump
grow.
back.
So it just shows that they think they are civilized, but this is when they are most uncivilized. So all I know is after Foundation Day, I read another spiritual True Father's prophecy, like guidance about how the process of restoration, how it will go.
Okay.
And True Father says the first 7 years after Foundation Day, evil will go like very rampant and go very high
Very high.
and look like it is really winning
Yes.
for the first 7 years after Foundation Day.
Okay.
Then second 7 years, and this is
After
until
2020?
Vision 2020, until the year 2020 from Foundation Day is 7 years. Foundation Day was in the year 2013.
Right. January 13th, 2013.
Yeah, 2013. And 2020 is 7 years. After that, then another 7 years, good and evil will look like they are
Equal.
equal. They will struggle and struggle, and goodness will also start to show its face, and people will become very, very confused. And even the Bible says so. There is somewhere the Bible says like that. The houses will be divided. And then the third 7 years, the power of righteousness and God's goodness will take over. And evil will start to crumble, and righteousness will start to rise. And eventually, evil will win. By the second...
Evil will win? Good way.
No, goodness will win
Okay.
by the third 7 years after the Foundation Day.
So that's 2114. That's somewhere in there, right?
2016.
Yeah. So...
no, 20.
Okay. 2020, 2014, then 20.
Yeah, 2020, then 2027,
Then 20.
then 20...
2028. Yeah.
2028
And beyond.
will be the time when
Heaven first.
righteousness will flourish and take over and win over all the evil,
So-
because true parents have planted the seed
Yeah.
and eradicated the problem. Yeah, it will be a gradual process. It's not a one-time thing.
Okay, I understand that.
Ye-
And
yeah,
so,
yes.
so
It's like the way we read in the divine principle, there is always formation,
right.
growth, and completion.
Okay, so now are you saying that we already know that two parents are not going to just destroy these people because of their heart? They're not going to destroy them, they're going to educate them. Right?
Yeah, it is first, I think, the education and the ideal must be shown to the people that there is an alternative.
Right. There is true love.
Yes,
That a man and a woman
and
can-
no, yeah, and
True
evil,
family values.
yeah, and if goodness wins only through the process of voluntary submission.
Okay.
So this is coming
Right.
because we are making the condition in these 7 years, and then next 7 years, and then those are conditions we are making with God and true parents. And we will continue educating people the real truth and the real ideal of God. And we are in partnership with God. And we are in true parentism, promoting true parentism and true familyism with God and true parents.
Because the children have the right of come from God. The heavenly parent should be loved and raised in love, as we discussed yesterday, with a father and a mother.
Yes, yes.
Even those children that are raised by same-sex couples, once they realize what their parents done, they shy away from them. Even my own boss before, he adopted like a boy. The boy is growing up to become a man, and of course he's a little bit finesse and everything. This boy doesn't like his attitude. The children realize that he's not a ideal parent, even though he has money. Not money.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a director. So.
Yeah. Okay, Reverend Francis, you can share and maybe we finish.
Yeah, so that's much LGBT. So I saw some of office mates, they were just dressed up in. They were men before, but they just dressed like drag queens. And it was not even Friday where we have where we use civilian clothes or So everybody is telling why it's not yet Friday, and it was a Wednesday, and some of them really were dressed up like oh yeah, it's so hard to make all of this and everything like that. And of course others who are very religious, God will smite you and everything. We can see there a spiritual battle already. And of course, what we need is true family values also. So you will see after maybe, it's true, for the 21 years.
Yes.
And hopefully also now, even Washington, D.C. is a contingent or one of the cities that will host the Olympics, one of the by 2024. So they promote also like there's not only civil rights but good family tradition here. So if we can pray for that eventually the Olympics will be here.
Yes.
And of course, even my company already has won these rights. NBC has rights to film the Winter and Summer Olympics until 2032.
Do you think that these people are trying to stall for time, these so-called gay, homosexual people who, now we're not talking about...
For ideal world, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're trying to stall, that's a troublemaker, like, kind of like.
Yeah.
Fight God,
Yes.
we're gonna do what we want to do.
Yeah.
So
the last kids of the dinosaur.
So
We'll go with a view. It's prophesied like that.
They even have they ask all these companies to support them.
Yeah.
And they fix schools and everything.
Oh, yeah,
and then of course
when
we Elizabeth and Wasana we went to this their projects. After that we went to of course not only a gay bar, but it's like a big restaurant owned by these people, and then they have their own gay magazines, and then they give or the house, drinks and everything. Of course, we didn't touch the drinks because, we're unificationists. They give drinks early morning after the, like in Powell Elementary School, we did some volunteer jobs like, painting and everything. So it's almost lunchtime and they're giving out drinks. And every people there, young ones and everything, because they promote this, and then of course their magazines too. So they're trying to promote already not even nighttime, it was daytime.
Yeah.
And the people, of course, there's music and they dance like these people. They stand on the stage, 2 men, 2 women. Of course, they're couples, but of course, they seem to be,
Well, they were doing that on Saturday when that could happen. They were celebrating. The women were sitting each other like that's what we're around. They were hugging and stuff,
So I think this is their last hurrah,
It's just that they do not know. It is, Christianity was so naive, or I can say we are still sleeping, because we haven't woken up to do our own campaign of our ideas.
In fact, there is surges in the Bible Belt, or even here in Maryland, that some pastors are really advocating, man and woman.
Yeah.
In some parts, district, although their state is declaring same-sex is allowed, in some parts they're, they are winning.
But God has already won. The foundation day, God has created the ideal world. We have to burn. So it's just a matter of time for them.
Yeah, and you know what? AIDS, if you're infected with AIDS after 14 years, it will come out. So these guys, if they are infected after 14 years, they'll be bye-bye.
Well, all of those diseases stem from illicit sex. All diseases.
Oh yeah, because there was a campaign, this is an article, Rick sent Santorum to merge for marriage with the National Organization for Marriage. And this was last week. They were doing a march at the Capitol Hill.
Okay.
And around the Supreme Court. And they had there is an organization which we should join called the National Organization for Marriage.
Yeah. I think that's the one in Maryland too, that they are gaining a lot of support.
It is us who have not gathered together and we haven't mobilized our own money and activities and campaigns.
Somebody should call them.
Yes.
Somebody should get in touch with them. Write them a letter. Give them our thoughts,
and tell them what we do and
we work together.
And
in
let's
fact,
work together and let's promote them.
If we just stick to our families through family values, we can
we
survive this.
And we have a lot of readings from all these books. We photocopy them and spread them.
Oh, we can sell them. They got money. They can
we can sell them so that we make our cause better.
So before I came here in America, I was campaigning for against same-sex marriages there.
But
so I got many signatures.
The thing is, one thing we need to inherit from the true person is heart, God's heart. And God has a type of heart. Heavenly Father has a type of heart that He's willing to forgive you. In other words, He said to the man that if you can find one person of Sodom and Gomorrah, which is the worst place on earth, literally, the way we understand it, He said, I will spare both cities.
Yeah, it is true.
So
what does that mean? That tells me that if you believe in me, then I can work with you. I can help you out of this state because that's a fallen state.
This happened literally in my region, because my hometown, city of Smiles, there's a city of love. It's also in the middle of the Philippines. It's the city where a lot of our members, They were gay, and they know each other, and they become blessed, and now they become blessed, and they have children.
All right.
Because and then one also a professor, she confessed. Of course, she's bringing a lot of these children, in the dark, and he confessed, and of course he become restored, and then all these people that he brought, they become members too. Some of them in my hometown.
That's the key.
Yeah, they were restored. So now I can see their children, and of course they forgot all what they'd done before.
Well, the children will be better than they are.
Yes, of course.
And then their children will
But
be better than
of course, one of the brothers is still trying to always be with this handsome man, and
He is lovers.
but he used this to witness. So, but he
Like we read, it's one of the main problems in the world.
Yeah.
if they're watching right now the playback, I know these people.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So that's why
They're restored, and
why this is becoming rampant like this is because all people do not know the source of this problem is from the angelic world.
yes.
See, that's it.
So once we start to teach people the source of this problem and tell them all these gays and men and women same sex is encouraged from the angelic world, which is rebellious from God's ideal.
That's right.
And we, mankind, should not do the acts of the angels.
Right.
We should be the masters of the angel and teach them the right thing.
Right.
And refuse to do the wrong thing.
That's right.
And go back to the ideal of God. Then people will understand.
Original ideal. Of
Yeah,
God.
we just bring them. We guide them. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all.
So it's a victory for true parents.
Yes.
And of course, some of them fell, but of course they're still
see,
coming back, and they teach now the divine principle.
These
Yes.
lesbian and gay, they are making even movies and videos and cartoons and many things which are teaching people how
That is okay.
gay is normal, or to be homosexual is normal.
Sex.
Yes, and
Really.
people say
But
Sex.
the children
yes, and
have,
normal, and even sex is okay.
but the children are more. They have original minds. They realize that this kind of lifestyle is not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I read of these myths we are reading here.
Yeah, that why are you
We
behaving
also can
in the unclean way?
Yes, we can make movies of these cartoons of these gods who are coming to chase their fields. And they eat too much that they lose their power to go back, and that's why they are doing things in hiding.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, but in the last days it says evil will become rampant,
Yeah.
and it will take and scoop many people.
As we read before,
Go in the highway, the flow,
The orgy, the big giant orgy.
yeah, they will start to go and do
that's
like
right.
the
We need to make cultural skits and plays
yes,
against all these things,
all
and
these things.
But
And
see,
also
that's the whole thing.
singing is
That
bringing
problem, I'm telling you. it's-
songs.
Yes.
It's not only it's a problem in society, in our family. I know it's in our family, and this thing. But because we have to understand what the original idea was. The original idea was pure.
Yeah.
It was pure. God knew what the angels was doing.
Yes.
He knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
But he wasn't concerned with that.
Yeah.
Because this oak lied in Adam and Eve.
Yes.
He wanted Adam and Eve to bring his children
Yes.
in the world. Okay? But because of the fall,
Yes.
God was completely cut off and kicked out.
Yeah. That will be kicked off. That will be kicked. This is the last days of.
Yeah, their last hurrah.
This
Yeah.
is the crossroads. That's what they call it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
The crossroads of good and evil. Yeah.
Yeah.
The people caught in the crossroads.
They themselves realize there's no way to continue even their relationship.
Yeah, they are trying to.
Yeah,
They the ones who started that divorce thing.
Oh, of course, and
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they were.
Abortion, they the ones who got all this stuff.
And you'll see even actresses, they were same sex before, but when they find an ideal partner, they have children, they part ways with this.
It's happening naturally. It's happening naturally.
Because it's So if there's anything else, I hear something. Yeah, let's all rise and have unison prayer. Yeah. Speaker on. Yes, our most beloved heavenly parents, we're so thankful for this reading about the corruption of sexual
The
love.
original heart of love.
We are so
And we read in the word about the flow.
engrossed with this discussion.
Heavenly parents.
We pray that
and we're supposed to be born in that love.
people will
And we
embrace
were supposed to live in that
man
love.
and woman.
And we were supposed to go to the spirit world in that love. And that
We
love
pray
is supposed to
that,
permeate the
of
whole
course, it
heart.
lasts a long
But
time
because
even
of
after
war,
the spiritual
only
world
thing came into the
or
world
after
was
the
existence.
physical world.
Love.
We pray
Love
for
spirit.
the success
Ungodly behavior.
the true children, the true
Lies
grandchildren.
of the flesh.
We pray as well
Temptation.
for our leaders,
Fear.
that even
Anger.
our true parents
Merciless.
envision it to
All the
remain
vile things
be
that had nothing to
triumphant
do with the
in
creation.
this world. We
Of
pray
cosmos, of
that
creation,
we
and
also struggle right now.
Eve literally withered away as she was being raped by the
Why the others are living well. And we are
black president
we pray
that we
that
know of in the history of the United States
and
is promoting same-sex marriage. We understand that same-sex marriage
we
is
pray
nothing
that
but
they will
crap
come to realize
of
that
gay-type people.
they are
One is
made by God.
same rights that heterosexual people
These
have.
are ideal mates. And we
Well,
pray that we can bring them to
Real,
the
true love, not
way
legal.
where they
And
can
Red
also
Brother said as well,
live
they have
longer,
to
even
come
if they have a
of their own
family
free will.
from the
Because we
opposite
know
sex.
that you let the sun
And we
shine on
pray
the good, the bad,
that
and
the
the
family
ugly. You let the rain fall on the good, the bad, and the
its
ugly.
support can raise children
You feed all
that
the
can
people.
go also and bring in peace and harmony.
So,
Because
we
when
need to spend more of our time
like
preparing
homes
educational
are
material,
going
or
near each other, they
educational
repel.
material that our true parents
There'll
are
be
doing. Our true parents are leading the way. They are quite aware of the problems of the world,
we
homosexuality,
pray that as
same-sex.
we can encourage that there is a give and take.
They don't know about it.
For
But they don't
they
focus on
make
it.
a chain reaction that even makes children.
They focus
And
on
we pray
curing the
that
heart.
the
Curing the heart of
future of the
resistance
human
that
race
people claim they have
are
against
in
you
the
because
hands
it's your fault that
of
they are that
the
way.
people who
Because they're
are
ignorant of the problem.
really
They're
espousing
ignorant of how to
man
follow
and
and
woman
work
marriage.
with them.
And we pray
We're not to fulfill their
that
gospel.
more politicians and very high people will embrace our true parenting. And we pray that most of them will do now, even our brothers and sisters, do their best to bring peace and harmony.
They feel like they should.
And we pray all this in all our names and in my name, Pastor French, family, Jew,
But we know that them time is up.
Uri sonen togil, numeros sonen togil, imos son pachos togil. Oliver, and all our brothers and sisters. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Have a great and wonderful weekend.
People have a tendency to do what's popular.
Exactly.
And, yeah, you see the young people out.